And this looks like Arabia. Oh yeah, we are on good old Arabia. And, well, already in pause, and let's have a look at the civilizations in the meantime then. Angelina Jolie is playing as Hans, Jon Snow is Mongol, and Tommy is Mayan, whereas Pichot is Han, Mate Persians, and Sinside is Mayan. So we see a difference between Persians and Mongols. So let's see what's going to be the better choice here. And if Gauchos can win here, or if they're going to lose the same as they did in the first round against BOJ, where they have won the Team Islands, but if I remember correctly, lost on Arabia as well. So the first we have a look at right now is Angelina Jolie, who is on the right side, playing orange player, and he has already discovered very nicely the hunt here at the right side, and also the gold, which is reasonably positioned, and nothing that he should be complaining about. Stone also quite nicely positioned on the right. Yeah, I don't really think that he should be having any kind of worries about that. And where is something extra? Extra stone at the back, gold here, extra hunt, and extra gold here. This is pretty nice map indeed overall. But it's also very close to Gaucho Mate. So there might be a lot of fighting between them in the middle here. Otherwise, where does he see those bars? One is at the back, one is at the forefront. He doesn't know about either of those yet, so he's just having to find them still. But he will probably find at least this one on the left with the scout, especially because there is a tree line that he will be having to skirt. Yep, right now he's going right next to the bar, so he knows where it is, and he will be quite happy about that. Putting the Fog of War back and switching into the pocket that is Jon Snow for Rulers of Rome. That is right now moving with the Lumbercamp to the back. He already knows where the boar is and also sees that his second boar is also quite nice, and the gold and stone are very defensively positioned, as he will be able to defend them quite nicely, I kind of think, because they are under his TC, or rather behind his TC. The front stone is also not half bad, because it's kind of protected half protected by the tree line here, which seems to be quite generous. Yeah, extra hunt here, and also, wow, extra gold here. Okay, so that seems like it could be actually easy to wall. All they need to do, orange together with the green, is put a wall here, and they are pretty much safe, which is a very huge bonus, as it literally seems like that this could be quite easy for them to be defending. Well, let's see if they will actually make use of that, or if this is going to be some proper arena, or rather Arabia open to all sides. We'll also see a relic at the very back with some extra sheep, and we will be switching into the next player from RoRs. That's going to be Tommy, who is playing on the left, and he is playing the Mayans. He has already discovered his first goal together with Stone, and he's already butchering his first boar. And where is the second one? Here at the back, so he already knows about it, also knows about the relic, some extra hunt if he wants to. Otherwise, some extra gold mines. Oh well, yeah. That's quite a lot of them. 2 extra gold mines very nicely positioned in there, and it really seems like third one here that this map should be kind of easily defensible for all of the players. You can also put up the wall here, just use the defensive position of the natural position of the stone as part of the wall here. So yeah, that could be pretty easy for him. And right next relic here, so it seems like all of those relic, oh well, one of the on the bottom here. So it seems like 4 relics are on the left side, basically in the power of RoRs. Yep, another advantage for them. The last relic is on the very right, or potentially up for the taking between Mate and his opponent Angelina Jolie. So I'll be switching right now into the other team, that's Gauchos. Let's switch into Pichot at this point, who is... Oh, he's already lost the Willy here. He's already lost the Willy to something. Yeah, you can see that he's down to just 14 right now, 15. So it's basically 1 down to his opponents or even allies, so that's kind of curious. And, whoa, was that maybe to boar? Since he's butchering one here, I would assume that it could be it, which is really unfortunate for him at this stage of the game. And yeah, that kind of sucks, and will definitely put him on the back foot in the early game in the feudal age here. Otherwise, though, he's having pretty decent amount of gold here at the very back, which is pretty safe and kind of okay together, even though you don't really like to see it plastered all that close to the wall, but still, it's just 2 tiles, so shouldn't be all that problematic overall. Otherwise, stone very nicely placed as well. It's going to be very easy wall here, and next gold here, and yeah, you can see that Teal is already walling himself in, as he is preparing to be probably raided by some scout cavalry in the early feudal age or whatnot. That's also going to be the next player that we will be switching into, Sinside, who is playing pocket as the Mayan player. Is a pretty good idea, or rather pretty lucky for them, as Mayan in pocket is not half bad, and he's having a very nicely protected double gold right here. And yet again, this map is very easily volleyball and will be kinda hard for anybody to raid into their opponents. This is slightly unfortunate for Teal, because he hasn't probably found the second boar. Or he has, but he hasn't loaded in yet. Right now he's going for it, it seems to be a bit of a trek around all this forest, but still should be kind of fine, and I'm not expecting that much of a problem for him around that. So yep, this is going to be it, and we see the first player advancing into the feudal age. It's going to be Angelina Jolie, and quite a lot of stone for Teal as well, and definitely thinking that he will be booming his ass off at this point, because he's just walling himself in, so I fully expect some faster castle from him, and that should probably be happening here. But is he going to finish the wall? Well, with the scout having just 3 hit points, he definitely will. Just going to be, yeah. Teal was seeing if he can actually get a hit at him, because that would be, basically 1 hit kill, exactly 3 hit points, or rather 3 hits. And that's not happening here, so Angelina Jolie is still free to make sure that she sees what's going on in the opponent's bases. Red is also quite nicely protecting himself with the walls here, having a pretty decent position of gold and stone it seems, and he is also having, I have seen some extra movement here, and that's just Eagle Warrior from the Teal pocket. So do we see some potential Russian or whatever? I don't really think so. Angelina Jolie doesn't seem to be doing anything here. Here we see Drash. Here we see Drash from Tommy. Okay, so that's Tommy Drashing onto his opponent Pichot, and Pichot isn't using his own units for that, so that's pretty much not going to be that. And even though, Tommy was making a nice attempt, it's not going to pay any dividends, because obviously, as you could see, walls are already in place, so pretty decent amount of protection for Pichot, and it will allow him the longer feudal age and possibly quite fast advance into castle age right after that. Nothing interesting somewhere else going to happen here. We just see players advancing into the feudal ages. That's pretty much it. Tommy advancing just now into feudal age. Also pretty nicely walled in, or rather working on it. Not exactly sure why he hasn't used this stone, but still. That's that. Maybe he didn't want all that much room in his own base. And well, looking at other guys. No defense whatsoever from Jon Snow, so he is basically giving up on volley himself in, so he will be very open for potential raiding. And same could be said about Orange, even though he does have some kind of, some kind of basic wall in here, but not really all that great. But he will be probably much more interested in putting up some pressure on his opponent himself. Market being dropped by Sinside here, so is he maybe going to sling his allies? Oh, let's see about that. So far it seems like that green together with orange will be attempting to raid together. And they are trying to find some way into the opponent's base, but they won't be having any kind of luck, because there's literally no way inside Teal. And I'm going to see, for example, for Pichot. I'll be thinking that Pichot would be a pretty good idea to be slung, because he is the best player from their team, even though, I have to say that Mate played pretty well as well the last time around. And well, here we see the first advances into castle. That's Jon Snow, and Angelina Jolie is saying that he will go into knights as when he advances into castle age himself. But I'm kinda thinking that the same will be the truth from the Hans of Pichot, because obviously he is the Hans, so good cavalry, and this is going to be into knights and pretty soon into cavaliers and paladins when he advances into the Imperial Age. And yes, exactly what we have thought about, he is being slung by his ally, the Pocket Mayan. So that's the reason why he is very nicely protected himself, and also right now finishing with stonewalling. And yep, this is going to be quite dangerous for RoRs, because this link could be pretty powerful indeed into the paladins early in the castle age, or rather in the Imperial Age. So let's switch it into post game to see if maybe RoRs are slinging as well, which they aren't. So yes, this might be a pretty nasty surprise for the rulers of Rome. Yep, Jon Snow right now saying that they're slinging, that he's thinking that they're slinging, and they definitely are, so he's right in that regard. And well, Orange is right now building an extra wall here through the buildings and going into the Castle Age himself. Yep, we see Castle Ages from Double Gaucho and Tommy as well. And this guy won't be advancing into castle anytime soon because he will be slinging his allies. That's pretty much going to be it. Angelina Jolie has found his way through into the base here, but he won't be having any kind of luck getting out, or will he? Or he actually will, because he has broken through the walls here as well, using some of those militias from the Mayan. And yep, this is going to be quite interesting battle here, because those militias could be exactly the great unit to get rid of those pesky potential pikemen or spearmen and allow those scout cavalry to wreak havoc on the foot economy of Pichot. But fortunately for him, he won't be really minding all that much because he's being heavily slung by his allies inside. So yeah, that's Castle Age for Pichot. And yeah, here we go, switching into the knights with pretty good economy, and of course being slung, so that definitely helps overall. Looking somewhere else, we can see that red player is just now advancing into Castle Age, not really interested in some kind of serious attack here, but since he is Persians, he's going to be advancing into Imperial Age in reasonable time as well, switching into knights and paladins after cavaliers pretty soon as well. And here we go with a bit of walling, and unfortunately for Tommy, Gaucho is well aware of this. But can they stop it? At this point I don't really think so, because they're not having any kind of army, and if this villager is working fast enough, this could be quite enough for him to deal with. Pichot is though not giving up on that. He's going to make an attempt at it, the poor villager, and trying to disrupt the wall building, but that's not going to happen at this point because, yeah, Grey has realized what's going to happen here, and he has sent a few more villagers in there to make sure that the wall gets finished, because it definitely needs to get finished as much as it can. Yeah, still some pretty decent raiding from Green, who has already switched into some kind of knights here. And he's dealing pretty decent amount of damage into the economy of Pichot, who is not doing all that well. And he's still having a house, or rather highway, inside his own base, and the game is not developing all that well, even though he is being heavily slung overall. He's at least attempting to raid his opponent himself. This is a pretty good idea, but still might not be good enough. But the disruption in the economy could still be well worth it, and their Swedes definitely need to retreat into the TC, so that there is some kind of chance of getting rid of all those knights. Yes, switching into camels is a pretty good idea for Jon Snow to defend against this raiding, and well, here we see on the right side that Red is definitely meaning business with a raiding of his own. He is basically attempting to make use of some kind of slower game by Angelina Jolie, and even though Angelina Jolie is going for basically the same strategy as the Huns, going for knights as well, he's not fast enough, and he's right now losing economy here to the pretty good raiding from the red. Looking back to the left side, it seems like that the battle is somehow abated, and we still see all those militias here in 21 minutes game time. Well, that's kind of curious, you don't really see that all that often. But we did see that either yesterday or today, I don't really remember anymore. And yeah, overall though, you don't see that all that often overall. So TC is being built to protect these wood miners, or rather wood lumberers, which is a pretty good idea to defend, especially with this second TC as well. And I'm kind of thinking that we shouldn't be seeing any more raiding from Green. He should be probably switching into someone else, because he doesn't really have anything substantial in here, and he himself is being raided, and he's not handling the situation good enough, or rather well enough, with his own defense of the camels. And you can see that some farms haven't been replaced, and yep, that's not going to work out all that well for Jon Snow. Ah, these are the camels. Okay, so actually Jon Snow thought that he needs to help his ally, so he did, and basically opened himself to a bit of a raiding, but it was kinda worth it, because he has killed all the knights from his opponent Mate, and Mate is forced to retreat at this point, and with this town center coming up, this gold will be as safe as ever. Also with this next town center here. Looking at the score, RoRs are winning at this point, and looking at the villages, 28 for Angelina Jolie. Oh well, he was pretty heavily raided, that's pretty terrible. That's pretty terrible at this stage, and he will definitely need all the help that he can get from his ally Jon Snow. Otherwise, though, Tommy is having those 10 extra that are exactly missing for Angelina Jolie, so it's more or less equal, but with other players, and not really spent, or rather spread out amongst all of them. Yes, some extra camels trying to help here in the defense of the orange player, which I don't think is really needed anymore, because even though Pichot is switching into the right side from the middle, he is not probably going to be strong enough, and with the extra help here, yep, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it, and I'm kinda thinking that Angelina Jolie should be able to defend just by herself, and that should allow Jon Snow to go for a bit of a radiant by himself. Yeah, quite nicely walled up. Orange trying to do something. They are killing just what? Just the house here, which is potentially a way through. So let's see if they can actually succeed. Otherwise, we see the Mayan having just one TC, obviously, because he is still in the feudal age and slinging his purple and mate allies, purple and red allies. Whereas you can see that Pichot has been able to defend himself, even though it has to be said that he still has freeways into his home base that could potentially be abused. Well, let's see about that, if that's going to be used by someone. Yet another nature wrath on Arabia against those knights and those camels. And it seems like that rulers of RoR are slowly but surely getting the upper hand in the battle overall, because Angelina Jolie is at this point stabilized, so even though the initial raiding from Mate was pretty powerful, it didn't really do its purpose. Well, it did. Killed like 10 willies at least, but it doesn't seem it was enough, and right now it's just waiting for the inevitable to happen, and that's for Angelina Jolie to make sure that he has enough army to actually go for it. Well, this was kind of unfortunate because Angelina Jolie has sent all those pikemen into the battle here, and that didn't work out all that well for him. Those knights just annihilated them. And let's have a look at the bottom house he took in here, because we see finally some Mayan plumed archers from the grey player, from Tommy, and well, this is now a pretty big problem for the Gauchos, because they are fighting basically just 2 versus 3. With the slinger doing his job with slinging the resources, but it doesn't seem like it's working well enough, because Pichot is still not having enough of an army. Even though he's right now researching at least chain barding armor and trying to make sure that he's somehow protected, but yeah, there is some kind of opportunity at raiding for green, and much more importantly, stopping the economy for him. If he can deny this gold, it could be quite successfully putting purple out of the game, at least for a moment, because even though the sling is powerful, it's not going to be all that great if purple is having all that many idols. So far though, it doesn't seem like that the green is having enough units for any kind of attempt like that, and this is pretty curious, because Inside is basically making some kind of attempt at the Chinese big wall, the Great Wall of China, and he will be hoping that he can somehow close it up and basically protect not but just himself, but also his ally. So that's a pretty nice idea, and let's see if he can finish with that. Red is also making an attempt on his opponent with a very forward siege workshop. It's going to result in a decent amount of siege pretty soon. Let's switch into Mate if he's been slung as well, but looking how he is at 3 TCs, I'm probably kinda guessing at this point that not. And Angelina Jolie is right now asking for some kind of camels, because yeah, he won't be able to defend against this, because the numbers are pretty great, and the one priest here, yeah, it would be kinda good idea, I would be guessing, for Mate to build some extras, but he needs all the gold for the siege weapons at this point, which is much more important in this stage of the game, as he's hoping that he can somehow go for it, going for a lot of upgrades at the same time. And here we go with some priests of Angelina Jolie's owns, attempting some kind of perform conversion here, and they're not succeeding, but with the extra help from red, or rather green, it's going to be a pretty good battle for RoRs to take, and a pretty bad one for red to take, so he better hopes that he actually recognizes what's happening here. Yeah, he has recognized it well enough. He's just going to lose all those units here, but that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what he's going to lose, and that's going to be a good enough trade at this point, looking at the fact that he could have actually lost all this army here. Yep. This should be a pretty good one to actually go into an attack here. Yeah, the villager, the house, and whatever. And well, oh, that's a pretty decent army. That's a pretty decent army at raiding by purple. So Sling finally paying off here, and well, it's paying dividends quite big time, because obviously this is going to deny Green gathering from for quite some time, as obviously he doesn't have enough camels in his home base to defend against anything like that. Imperial Age from Tommy, who is the first one to advance into that, and also Husbandry from Pichot, so it's going to be stronger knights here, which is exactly at the nick of time, as well. This is going to be a pretty nice help against those camels inside his base right now, rather inside the opponent's base. So pretty good job by that. And how's it looking somewhere else? Red is retreating home with some of those knights that were probably just trying to fight something to raid, which they aren't. And well, Siege Workshop has been leveled, and it seems like that we are right now on the edge of potentially some kind of a siege attempt by the orange player. Well, so far he's probably just waiting for next age. We also see advance into Imperial Age from Gaucho, a Pichot. So yeah, that's going to be Paladins pretty soon from him, and he's already very well established inside his base. And yep, Green has right now been able to defend himself, but has lost some amount of villagers. Looking at the economies, oh well, that's a pretty strong echo from RoRs, especially those 113 from RoR Tommy. That's pretty huge at this point, and well, can he actually develop into something deadly? He is already working on it through the Radiant with some of those Plumed Archers, and also trying to switch obviously into the Eagle Warriors. Those all barracks here are definitely a sign of that, and well, he has to be careful so that he doesn't lose the units needlessly at this point, as Teal is trying to finish the walls here, but the switch into Eagle Warriors and potentially Halberdiers, maybe rather Halberdiers than the Eagle Warriors, is going to be a pretty deadly for Pichot, because even though he's going to have Cavaliers and Paladins pretty soon, I would guess, yeah, Cavaliers at least right off the bat, Paladins maybe slightly later, that's not going to be something that he will be wanting to fight. Yeah, and you can see that Tommy is meaning business at this point. He will be fully attacking him one-on-one, which is going to result in a pitch battle between him and Pichot, and also resulting in Pichot not able to help his teammates if they are under attack. So yeah, this is developing into some proper battle, with Pichot basically taking everything home. Being in Imperial Age himself, and Halberdiers are being researched, Caperams as well, so this is going to be a pretty decent battle very soon indeed. Oh well, deal. Yeah, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen for you. That's going to be a bit of a surprise, because you're going to see that there's something waiting for you. Yep, there definitely is. And even though it's discovered earlier than it should have been for Tommy, but it doesn't really matter at this point, because he's already having quite a good trickle for Halberdiers, and that's working very well indeed for him. Switching to the right side, we see that Red is doing a pretty good job containing two players by himself, though not for long. Yeah, this really shouldn't be happening, because obviously this kind of army is already going into attack with all those camels that are the exact counter that he needs, and this is going to be a pretty huge battle that Red is going to lose. And yeah, he is going to lose that, so that's why he is actually retreating at this point. I'm also going to have a quick look at the middle here, so that's yet another attempt by Pichot actually at raiding on his opponents, and pretty successful one indeed at that, because obviously those Cavaliers are pretty strong, and since Orange wasn't paying enough attention at the back, well, right now he's paying for it with the lives of his villagers, but he is having strong enough echo at 100, better than Pichot or Sinside, so yep, I'm not really all that worried about that, and shouldn't really be doing any kind of lasting damage. You can see that Grey is doing a pretty good job infiltrating the base of Pichot, exactly, and he is, yeah, definitely winning here, because he is making the correct units, Halberdiers together with Siege, and since Pichot is doing just Paladins, or just Cavaliers, that's not going to cut it, as obviously Halberdiers are the hard counter for them. So yep, this is not going to result into anything nice. And is he going to be helped by someone? I kind of thinking that Sinside should be finally advancing into Castle, which he exactly is, because those Plumed Archers are exactly what is needed in this battle. But it might be way too late, because it seems like that Tommy will go through Pichot just like Flood, and yeah, there's not going to be anything left when Sinside finally advances into Castle Age and will be ready with his own archers. So yeah, this is pretty much a done deal in this base, and looking somewhere else, Cavaliers getting them back into the base, but they are not really going to be the correct unit for anything like that. And Orange, together with Red, are still having basically a 1v1 against each other, waiting for the right moment to attack. Yep, Angelina Jolie waiting for the Imperial Age and the Cavaliers herself, and this will allow at least her opponent, who is just finishing Cavaliers right now, to build a castle here. So still not really decided game, because it seems like that Angelina Jolie is right now losing against Mate, and Mate should be putting all those Cavaliers to the business right now, which he exactly is. So this is a pretty big battle, and we'll see how much of a conversion is going to take place, and if it's going to turn the battle around. But it seems like that Red is actually retreating at this point, and we are actually at GG's, because exactly on the left, the storm that Tommy was strong enough. And yep, the switch from Teal, from the Feudal Age slinging into the Castle Age Blunt Archers wasn't fast enough, and that resulted in Pitchot basically being leveled altogether, and yep, not even Sling can help you from that. So pretty good job, very nice interesting strategy from Gauchos. They really were grasping for yet another victory here, especially on the north side. They were doing pretty well, but at the bottom they just couldn't handle the Imperial Age Tommy, the Mayan, and he just ran rampant in the purple base. A pretty good job in that, and so let's have a look at the achievements. Let's have a look at the achievements right there. With Tommy being the MVP, having the highest score. Well, he wasn't really attacked, so yes, he was very nicely protecting himself. He was booming as a Mayan. That worked very nicely, and best military score for Pitchot. Yep, he was doing pretty well, as he was slunk, of course. Yeah, you can see almost 10,000 resources slunk. Very nice echo from RoRs, and that definitely helped them as well, overcoming their opponents. Alright then, GG.